Crop circles. A mystery solved. Part 2. The Gray, the Disc, and the False Gifts. February 4, 2021. By Kuu Fudou. A warning from the Greys. On August 15, 2002, a crop circle was discovered in Winchester, England, containing a self-portrait of an alien Grey and a disc. The disc appeared to be engraved with some binary code, which researchers around the world have found corresponds to alphabetical letters, and having deciphered it, reveals the following sentences. The results are shown below. The deciphered source text is a mixture of upper and lower case letters. Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. Believe. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. The significance of the Greys and the disc crop circle. Even among the many crop circles, this one stands out because it has a particularly strong message. The author demonstrates a cautious approach. The author could understand clearly the specific meaning of this warning message. He was able to do this because he received a direct message from the Greys, and also due to some guidance from a figure who has had a decisive influence on human history. The meaning of this warning will not be easy for some people to accept, and may radically shake their lives and their worldview to the core. This message could not be conveyed by a human. The fact that the messenger is an extraterrestrial being means that they can convey such a deep and meaningful message that relates to the essence of the universe. Due to the gravity of the issues brought by this warning, I realize that I have to be extremely cautious in making this announcement so as not to cause people to drop out over this. But since I have come to know the truth, and cannot just let it lie, I have decided to take on the role of guiding those who are confused by its content towards a path to normalcy. And as the reader, I would like you to understand that there is a new prepared path just over this hill, so you need to see beyond your short-term thoughts. I hope you will come to understand and accept that behind the words of this message lies the thoughts of a great historical figure, and that the Greys are acting as an intermediary, based on their supernatural power and wisdom that has been accumulated over hundreds of millions of years. I also hope that you will accept the Greys' thoughtful and profound goodwill towards the people of Earth. I would like to conduct a close examination of each of the words and phrases, even where there is some overlap, to gradually deepen understanding of the meaning of the warning and eventually clarify its true meaning. The significance of the two warnings. The warning on this disc is a warning to the people of the Earth, and especially to the people of the Middle East and the West, who have historically had a deep connection to the Bible. The Greys foresee havoc taking place on this planet, and this warning is to help us avoid it. Frankly speaking, this is a warning to those people who are concerned with the Bible, the Old and New Testaments. And these warnings are trying to convey the true meaning of the Bible to these people. The first thing to know is that the stance taken by the Greys is not of ancient history based on humanity's thinking, but instead, of ancient history as seen from the cosmic history viewpoint. Naturally, only the cosmic history viewpoint is correct. In a nutshell, the Greys are warning those people concerned with the Bible to distance themselves from the view of history that has been created by biblical scholars over the course of human history, and has been interpreted to suit their own needs. The message on this disc presented by the Greys has the Greys at the forefront, but in the background there is the figure of Gabriel. And at the heart of the message, Gabriel is conveying a message about the actions of Jesus, with whom Gabriel was deeply involved. From the true cosmological historical perspective of the Greys, Jesus Christ was a being that was sent by the God with whom the Greys are connected to. So, in this respect, I would like Christians to feel honestly relieved. And in fact, the God who is being referred to here is a God who has a form, speaks, and is an extraterrestrial being, who also has a relationship with the Greys. However, this fact does not negate the God of faith, Yahweh. This is of particular importance, and will be discussed in more detail at another time. Therefore, if mankind does not have a proper understanding of the basics of God, extraterrestrial beings, and the universe, then the publication of this message can lead to misunderstanding, and can even be dangerous. The two warnings. Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. This consists of two warnings. The word bearers means specifically devotees or followers. For the sake of clarity, the red text refers to the New Testament, and the blue text to the Old Testament. The first of the warnings is a warning to earthlings to be wary of the devotees of false gifts. This is due to the fact that the Vatican has created a false gift, namely the New Testament. God was not involved in the compilation of the New Testament. Of course, Jesus was not involved either. And this is a lethal blow to the New Testament. Therefore, the New Testament was not given by God. It is not, as the Vatican says, a new covenant with God. So, this is a false gift manufactured by the Vatican. It is a warning to be wary of the sayings of followers of this false gift, who have taken the liberty of putting the name of Jesus in the forefront of their fake Bibles. The second of the warnings is, be on your guard against devotees of broken promises. This refers to those who have broken the covenant made to God in the Old Testament. It is attributed to God's prophecy that He would send the Messiah to the Jews, the people of Israel. There is a premise here, that the Greys have had a deep connection with humanity, since before the Sumerian civilization. And this is an urgent warning to a people who are stuck in a mess, under the influence of the Bible, the Old Testament, that was left by some extraterrestrials that worked together with the Greys. Although both of the warnings are expressed using a stance that seems to avoid directly addressing the warnings towards the devotees, in essence, they should be understood as direct warnings to the devotees. In other words, God sent Jesus as the Messiah in accordance with the prophecy, but not as the Messiah who would free the Jewish people from Roman rule, as the Jews had expected. And they did not recognize Jesus as the Messiah, which is where the whole deception began. This means that the Jewish scribes and priests were the first to break the covenant with God. Moreover, the priests made the great mistake of placing their own judgment above that of God. But this warning is against those devotees of broken promises who, despite their great mistake, continue to proclaim that their covenant with God will be fulfilled. It is all a total deception. The second warning is therefore a warning to the Jewish priests who have gone astray, and to the Jewish people who have followed them. It is not yet too late to heed this warning. And this author hopes that we will soon get back on the right track. The two warnings are closely related, but their contents are completely different. If you have read this far, and understand the meaning of these words, it means you have a good understanding of Bible history. On the basis of our knowledge so far, we can interpret the message from the Greys as follows. There is a deep relationship between the two warnings. There is a deep and inseparable connection between the false gifts and broken promises. Jesus, who acted as the Messiah of the Jewish people, preached of a salvation limited to the people of Israel. And after the death of Jesus, the Apostle Paul ignored the main purpose of Jesus' mission and began missionary work to the Gentiles, and this work was developed into the false gifts by the Vatican. Paul meant no offense, but he evangelized a rewritten form of Christianity for non-Jews in the Mediterranean area, which eventually made its way to Rome. Naturally, Jesus' main goal of limiting his message to the Jews was neglected here, resulting in a major blunder. In time, Christianity became the state religion of Rome, and the logic of imperial rule. This further created a massive contradiction. From the cosmic historical viewpoint, the most important thing that must be considered is the consistent attitude of Jesus. Jesus obeyed the prophecies and acted as the savior of the people of Israel. The thoroughness of Jesus' attitude and his actions are clearly recorded in The Woman of Canaan, Matthew 15:21-28, referenced at the end of this material. Jesus was so thorough in his words and actions, so that it would not be permissible for later generations to deny his intention. And Jesus' insistence on this point was clear, from the cosmic view of history as well. But this is a point at which we must draw a line, rather than attempt to debate the issue, using our human wisdom. In order to solve a problem unique to the Jews, Jesus preached solely to the Jewish people, the Israelites, and the arbitrary action of humans to change the purpose of his prophecy towards other races is simply an act of betrayal to God, the extraterrestrial being. If Jesus had been preaching to races other than the Jewish people, naturally, the content of his words would have been different. If the Jewish people had accepted the appearance of Jesus as a divine promise, the subsequent Vatican's error would not have occurred. So, it was a series of incorrectly fastened buttons that has led to the deception that we have in our current time. It all stems from the fact that the Jewish priests, and the Jewish people themselves who follow them, have completely broken their covenant to God, the Old Testament. The Jewish people refuse to acknowledge this. They still seem to believe that their covenant with God is valid. The validity of covenants is not for the Jews to decide, but for God to decide. Even today, the Jewish people still believe that a Messiah favorable to them will be sent by God, and for this they are still waiting. It is pertinent for the Jewish priests and the Jewish people who follow them to know that by continuing this state of unilaterally broken covenants on their part, it becomes impossible for God's next promises for them to be fulfilled by God's side alone. Once you remove the figure of Jesus, the history of the covenants of God remains in a state of suspension. The Jewish priests put the gears of history completely out of alignment. The resulting confusion and multiple falsehoods have not abated, even up to this day and age. Whatever the devotees to false gifts and broken promises have to say now, holding on to their deceptions, will lack any cogency. The Greys and their associates hope that the followers and devotees of false gifts and broken promises will of their own volition return the gears into their correct place as soon as possible. That is the solution to the deception. This is an urgent and imminent warning that comes at a time when we can already predict a great deal of turmoil in our future. The important thing for the reader to understand is that the warning comes with a way out of the confusion. I have received the basic message on how to do this from the Greys. Side note: the phrase incorrectly fastened buttons comes from this Japanese phrase, shown here. In English, the metaphor would correspond to the meaning: if the first button of one's coat is wrongly buttoned, all the rest will be crooked. What is the pain? Much pain, but still time. There will be a lot of pain. There is still time before that happens. At that point in time, since it was 2002, there was still time. I'm not making any conclusions on this point, but cutting to the chase, this may have been foretelling the novel coronavirus pandemic. However, the pain doesn't end there. If the problem is not solved, the world will be even more confused. If left unchecked, the world will be swallowed up by dictatorial communism. The people of the world need to be very aware of the sense of urgency and take action. The clue to how to do it is in the warning. And it indicates that this present time, especially now in the midst of our suffering, is an important time for the world to be reborn. There are good things ahead. Believe. There is good out there. In due course, good things will happen in the world, so believe this. If we can get past the current pain and confusion, there will be good things beyond this. The hidden message here is that the Greys are trying to stop humanity from falling into chaos, and they are ready to give a helping hand to reach the solution. We stand against and oppose this deception. We oppose deception. The deception here refers to the ideology, values, and behavioral patterns of the followers of the false gifts and devotees to the broken promises. The principles of conduct upon which the world on earth are run are based on a deception, and there is no visible future for humanity in sight here. So, the Greys are taking a stand against these forces of deception. People who are concerned with the Bible should return to the starting point, and once the deception is eliminated, it will be possible for the people of the earth, including those who are not concerned with the Bible, to create new principles of conduct on their own. Let us believe this and take action. Therefore, even those peoples with no relationship to the Bible must not be fooled by the widespread deception that is prevalent in the world. A further reason for the Greys' opposition to these deceptions is as follows. The other reason is that, if humans make their entry into the cosmos, while still in the thrall of these deceptions, it would be a huge nuisance for those extraterrestrial beings who are already making advances in the cosmos. In relation to the Federation of Space, that has already been established, if we were to hold on to the false gift of the New Testament, making Jesus the center of the world, it would be an obvious challenge and a breach of the established order. Ignorance is a scary thing. And the biggest nuisance of all is to Jesus himself. Having values brandished about that make him the Messiah of the world, which he never intended to be. So, for this reason, Jesus must be limited to being a local Messiah for the Jewish people alone. Historically, there have been people who have been in the midst of this deception, but have not engaged in the deception. And there are people who know nothing of the Bible, and have not been deceived by this. The background of the message. I was brought up in a culturally Japanese Shinto and Buddhist environment, so I am not a Christian, but I felt especially close to Jesus. One day, out of the blue, I was contacted by Jesus and was presently informed of the original purpose of Christianity. And it was straight after that I received these messages from Grace. And it may be especially because I am Japanese, that I have the thoughts that I am about to divulge. In fact, it has long been said that some descendants of the lost Jewish 10 tribes have their roots in Japan. Many archaeological sites have been found in the Shikoku region to support this. Then there is the fact, that may come as a surprise to some people, that Muslims recognize Jesus Christ as a prophet. In fact, Islam is a religion that was created by Gabriel, in order to lead Muhammad to counter the New Testament, which was the ultimate deception. Indeed, there have been a number of chosen people who have not been historically involved in any deception. For these people, God's covenant is eternally valid. Jesus and Gabriel, as well as Muhammad, are all cooperating with the Greys to create a new earth. And the Greys continue to show me solutions for how to create a new world. And through my work in deciphering crop circles, I came to receive many messages from the Greys. What I am writing about here is only part of the story. My mission is also to bring the messages from the Greys to those who need them. If we create a future on the basis of humanity's selfishness and self-righteousness, which pushes aside the will of God, then it will be a future filled with nothing but confusion and extreme danger. Those people who have been warned must resolve this deception, return to the basic roots and reset the gears into their right places. Once these gears have been engaged, the Greys will guide those people to transform the world and lead it to a lasting peace. A connecting passage or conduit exists. Conduit closing. For the time being, the passage is closed. When you have accepted the warning, we will appear again. The fact that this passage, which is said to be closed, actually exists, is actually the vital message to be gleaned from this. Once the deception is resolved, the gears of cosmic history will realign, and the future will start to look bright. But if the deception is not resolved, the buttons will continue to be incorrectly fastened, the confusion will continue, and the world will be targeted by dictators. The Jewish people need to be answerable for their mistaken covenant, while Christians will be questioned on whether they follow Jesus, or on whether they follow the New Testament. As for the Muslim people, the Greys do not mention them here, but they see their role in a positive light. Because Gabriel is deeply involved in the background. From Gabriel's point of view, only the Christianity of the New Testament is different. And Judaism and Islam are one because they were originally created by Gabriel. And those including myself, who ostensibly have no memory of having been involved with the Bible, the New and Old Testaments, are united in the steadfast commonality that we are part of a new global humanity that has been guided by the Anunnaki, ever since the Sumerian civilization, and that everything, including the people of the Bible, finally comes together in Japan. It will gradually become clear that in Japan, the memory of humanity's past since the Sumerian civilization is alive and well. In order to resolve the conflict caused by the deception that I mentioned earlier, I would like to introduce the Heart Sutra, which I believe to be the most universal worldview known to man. This is a splendid view of the world and the human way of life that I deciphered with the guidance of the Divine Spirit. From now on, mankind will be guided by the worldview expressed in the Heart Sutra. The Greys are also sending me messages because they would like to guide the fraudulent modern Christianity towards a universal path. There seems to be no other way to absorb the contradictions of the current status quo, which has already caused a huge amount of conflict. The reason that I have come forward is because I believe that this way leads us to the ultimate and universal value system of humanity that can resolve this catastrophe. The author's position. I live in Japan, a country isolated from the history of the Bible since the time of Jesus, so I was able to understand it in such detail, without bias. Those who have accepted this warning message from the Greys will be the ones who are ready to receive the next message. To those who are ready, I am ready to pass on all the messages I have received. The end. Reference material. The fact that Jesus was thoroughly committed to his position of being sent, solely for the people of Israel, was clearly written down in the woman of Canaan story. Jesus continued to clarify his position in his statements below, so that future generations could never ignore or act contrary to his wishes. Matthew chapter 15. The woman of Canaan. Verse 22. A Canaanite woman from that region came to Jesus, crying out, "O Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is possessed by an evil spirit and is in great suffering." The Son of David refers to Jesus, who was sent according to prophecy. A Gentile comes and begs Jesus to remove the evil spirit that has possessed her daughter. Verse 23. But Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came up to Jesus to ask him what they should do, and urged him, "Please send this woman away quickly." Jesus ignored the woman, because he was the Messiah sent by God to the Israelites, and was not in a position to save the Gentiles. As disciples, they should not have asked Jesus to send her away, but they should have naturally sent her away themselves. The reason why they did not do so was due to a rule: one should never speak to a heathen woman. Verse 24. And Jesus answered, "I have been sent only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel." I have been sent only for the people of Israel. He makes his position clear. This is the vital statement that clarifies the position of Jesus. Verse 25. But when the woman came to Jesus, knelt before him saying, "Lord, help me." Then. Verse 26. Jesus replied, "It is not right to take away the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." The Israelites are compared to children, and the Gentiles are compared to little dogs. Therefore it would be wrong to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. He reiterates his refusal to do so. Verse 27. But she said, "Lord, you are right. But even the dogs can eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." The woman continued to plead. She insisted that even a small dog can have the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Verse 28. Then Jesus said to her, "Lady, by your great faith, you will get what you want." And her daughter was immediately healed. Jesus, being Jesus, is impressed by the woman and grants her wish, but instead of saying that he has granted her wish, tells her in an objective manner, "You will get what you want." This means a lot. There were many Gentiles who came to hear of rumors of Jesus. And thus, Jesus encountered this type of situation several times. Jesus often helped the Gentiles in such situations, and on this occasion, he utters the famous words, "Thy faith shall save thee." This means, I am in a position to save the people of Israel, so I cannot save you directly, since you are a Gentile. So this means that, I have not saved you, but that you by the power of your own faith, have been saved, and with these actions, he displays the limits of his views towards Gentiles. Jesus never for a moment forgot his position, and throughout the remainder of his short life, he continued to demonstrate that he was the Messiah exclusively for the people of Israel.